Mighty Whites podcast is recorded at the Don Bennison Recording Studio in Allerton Bywater. For more information, visit donbennison.com or email info@donbennison.com.
Hi and welcome to episode 11 of the Mighty Whites podcast. I'm Jack, I'm joined by Connie.
Alan.
And Casey.
Hey up.
Right, we'll jump straight into it, there's no point messing about because I have a feeling that when we start talking about Leeds Best 11 we might do an hour because that's basically the sort of thing we talk about in a pub for a week.
This is what we've been talking about for the last half hour.
Yeah, true. But yeah, first game to look back on, 1-1 draw with Aston Villa. Really good first half, Janssen put us in front, they came back into it. Henry Lansbury with a good goal. What did you reckon to the game, Con?
I thought it was a fair result in the end. As you said, we dominated first half, they dominated second. I think it was sort of game where last season you could have seen us maybe conceding a second. But all in all, good goals. On the whole, good display from most of the team. I can't think of anyone who particularly had a bad game as such.
I don't think anyone had an absolute shocker.
No, there were a few that were quiet, but there were no one who really, stood out as being really bad. And Lansbury's goal was quite a good finish as well. So, fair result. Decent result and all, to be fair.
I think lowest I gave out, I think I gave one person a 5 and everyone was 6 or above. So
yeah.
We were a little bit unlucky with their goal as well because it was the way it kind of rebounded off Janssen's tackle as well. It it fell very nicely. Like you say, it was a very well taken goal. It's unlucky in that regard.
Yeah, and we were a bit unlucky with that ball across front from. It was Size that whipped it in and Ekuban, and we both went flying in it and just missed it.
There were Cooper and all, weren't there, obviously?
Yeah, because I think it was Cooper at the back of those three, and he, by that point, really wasn't expecting it to have got to him. And you could kind of see it on him go,
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it was good for me because I actually predicted 1-1 in this. You both had us winning narrowly, but we said before, I mean, obviously we'll talk about the QPR more, but we said we needed 4 points from these two and we got it, so you can't be that disappointed. But we made it 4. I know that we've done that fairly briefly, but there's not a great deal to say. We played all right, so did they. Draw was about fair.
Yeah.
We got a goal from a set piece.
Yeah, that's nice. Well, we may as well talk about that now, actually. I've got it later on. Do we think Gianni Vio's made a difference?
I think he's getting his ideas across, definitely, when you see it. When you see how they're lining up and you see the movement, especially with balls into the attacking box, I think his ideas are starting to come through a little bit, yeah, definitely.
You can see it is not just a case of finding a position and moving around, that they have a number of setups now when we're taking corners. And I think we saw it a lot at the Barnsley game with how many corners we had in that game. Just how many kind of different setups we had, and we were playing some more effective short corners in that than we have done before. And I think we all agree we really hate short corners.
You should never be doing like more than 1 in 5.
No,
sure. There were points where we were doing it nearly every time.
I was going to say because we me at least anyway, I've got the horrible memories of Snodgrass short corner to Kilkenny. Within like 10 seconds, it was back with Ankergren.
Yeah.
Or Schmeichel or whoever was in goal. You're like, how have we managed to do that? But it's good that we now have a few different options and we're trying something a bit different because we haven't got that many goals this season. So it is worth trying it out.
Yeah. Even though we haven't scored that many from them so far, obviously Janssen scored his from a corner against Villa. But, Liam Cooper could have had 3 or 4 in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I do.
He's had some serious chances. He had the one disallowed as well.
Yeah. It just seems like there's a bit of logic in there again now. I know last year we spoke about how Monk and Clotet got them organised back there, and it seems to be coming back again. They don't it's not like headless chickens when it gets into the box anymore. So yeah, it's definitely coming through with it. Yeah.
Well, definitely the more interesting of the 2 games. Whereas on Saturday, 3-1 win away at QPR. Came out with hat-trick.
You say more interesting. Me and Jack watched that game together, and I had to work, so I had to leave just after half time. So as far as I was concerned, it was 0-0. So I left and missed absolutely everything.
He's now got a very odd superstition because now he has to come watch every game with me and leave.
Sod off at
Like
half-time.
55 minutes in.
Got to wear my work clothes as well.
Yeah. But this was sort of the opposite to the Villa game in that we weren't very good first half. We weren't disastrous or anything, but they looked the better side and 5-5 are more likely to score in the first half. And then in the but the last sort of 5 minutes at first half, we just picked it up a little bit.
Yeah, we seemed to move up a gear, didn't we?
It was, and this isn't a criticism of him, I do like Ekuban, but it seemed to be basically when Ekuban went off and Roof went up front and Kubicki came on, we kind of improved a bit.
Well, you're bringing them to one. I mean, Ekuban's done all right. Obviously, we'll talk about his injury later on, but when you brought Kubicki and Roof on, you noticed then they were dragging them out of position, they were getting in and amongst them, whereas Ekuban, it's not a criticism of him, but he can do it, but not as good as like what Roof can do it.
Yeah, and I mean, how much of that half he was injured? He might have been injured for loads of it.
Yeah.
We don't know, but in the second half, I thought we were really good. I mean, it should have been an incredibly comfortable win. It was only a baffling piece of goalkeeping. But
I mean, what do we all think about that? I mean, because it was just a hopeful. It wasn't even a.
I had the
pull
very odd
back into the box.
I had the very odd thing of watching it on Twitter. So I literally saw the one angle where it zoomed in on him, and all I see is the bounce and it going over him, and I had no idea the build up to it.
The ball comes out. Was it Luongo that put it back in?
no, it was Pavel Zwolik.
Was it him who put it back in?
Yeah, it was him that crossed it back. Because I remember laughing, going, "That's another time where we've."
I'm not sure if someone got a touch on it.
No,
to be
I don't
honest.
think anyone did. You know what's weird?
It just
Because in
loops
my
and-
head, it's basically a Wiedwald own goal. In my head. I'm sure it was Wallet, but I've never actually gone back and checked who the goal scorer was.
But when it came back in, though, it kind of broke 30 yards out, and it was just a hopeful, like, side-footed, lobbed half volley back into the box, and the bounce of it even, it wasn't as though it bounced and zipped up right quick.
Yeah,
it was a bounce.
And the odd thing as well is when you're looking around, one, it bounces, maybe just in front of the 6-yard box?
Yeah.
But there's no one challenging for it.
Nope.
We're winning comfortably with not long left in the game. There's no need for him to be rushing out. He could have, if he'd have just stood a yard off his line, it would have bounced into his chest and he caught
Yeah, his
it.
issue was that he started to come and then didn't. If he'd have come, he'd have been fine. If he'd have not come, he'd have been fine.
Yeah.
He just... But yeah, there we go. We've done it again. Leeds fans won this game 3-1 with a hat-trick away from home, and we've jumped straight on the negative thing.
Bloody goalkeepers.
But as for it, I do have to ask, what do you reckon was worse, that or Lonergan's first one against Brentford?
That.
Oh, yeah, I've got to go with that because again, that was more akin to the Button one in the Brentford game of coming out. I don't have this at all. Like at least Lonergan got to his. He had the grace to at least touch it and then mess up. Whereas, like you say, if he'd have just stood on his line, everything would have been fine.
Although, I mean, he did make up for it though. Not long after it.
What was it, 90 seconds later?
He did.
Yeah.
That save from Idrissa Silva just after was very good goalkeeping.
I said to Jack as well, because one of the benefits of me listening to the Radio Leeds commentary that you guys probably won't have been able to see, well, it wasn't on TV, but Jack was still able to watch it through his work, which was nice.
It was on TV in America, so you could watch it.
All right, fair enough. But I'm guessing the thing it didn't show was Janssen and Cooper running up to Wiedwald straight after and just kind of giving him a pat on the back and everything and showed a bit of unity. Like, don't worry about it. We've got your back.
We were talking about it though after it had happened though, with a few people, and it's that same old thing. Now, if a ball comes over the top and Kamaru fluffs his lines and shanks it into its stand, it's forgotten about 30 seconds later. It's just. When a goalie does it, they're knackered out. But 9 times out of 10, it costs big time. But so long as it proved that it didn't let it affect him too much. So,
well, we'll come on to the good stuff and roof attacking and other things in a second. But I've asked it every time there's been a massive goalkeeping bollocks, which has been too many times this season. But as of last time, we were still all Wiedwald over Lonergan. Are we still all Wiedwald over Lonergan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I expected that to be the case, but
I think since he's come back in, we have. I'm not saying this is all down to him, but as a team, we've just looked a lot better. The distribution is far better when Wiedwald's there. on the whole, outside of things like that, just in general play, we seem more organised than we were under Lonergan, and we seem more stable.
It seems like there's Wiedwald, like he's like the base of what Christensen's wanting to do. Like with his balls out, like he is a bit of a sweeper keeper, isn't he? And I think that's what he's looking for. But just in general, though, he's better than Lonergan. That's not saying that Lonergan's really bad. It's there to be a backup, and that's how it should be.
Yeah. But obviously, going the other way, we played some really nice stuff in the second half. Some really good football. Got ball wide well. Came out with some movement in the middle to get on the end of them balls, because obviously both defenders are 6 inches taller than him, so he's done well to find the space to win a header like that first one.
And to direct it and all like he did. It were a bit like Lasogga's at Elland Road. I forget who it were against now, but he put it back into the way it came.
Yeah, that was his second one against Burton.
That's it. He put it back where it had come from, didn't he?
Because it was beyond far post, wasn't he, and had to get...
Yeah.
I think I said to you, like, if we could combine our 3 strikers into one, we would have we'd have a Premier League forward, because I think with...
If you had Ekuban's work rate and Lasogga's natural finishing, and... I mean, I know he made that bollocks against Brentford, but he's a good natural finisher.
Just the size of Lasogga as well. He's decent in the air, and then like you say, you got the movement of Roof and his pace. Unfortunately, we have to split it between 3 of them, and but yeah, the couple of times Roof's been up front, it speaks for himself that he's got 2 hat-tricks this season.
It's by far the most clinical out. I mean, I know he scored some goals at Oxford and stuff, but he only had 3 shots in that game, and he scored all of them.
Yeah, Ian Holloway said afterwards that he was barely in the game apart from his
which
his
I
goals.
think was a bit of an overstatement from Holloway. It wasn't like it wasn't one of them, because you did used to get the odd player like that, didn't you? Who'd literally do nothing and then score twice.
Viduka.
Yeah, Viduka. But no, I thought we were easily worth the win in this game.
Yeah. And Trubitsky is alive, and he is apparently half decent.
Yeah.
Had a very good game in the sounds of things, again, going into the second half.
No, he was very good. And the cross for the second goal was a great ball.
Yeah,
actually.
quality ball, yeah.
But he was always there as an option. He worked his way up in that wing. It's another one to add to our football manager's always right theory, because his best position on that is as a right winger on support.
Yeah.
So, but no, I thought we were really good. I was really delighted with win, actually, because like every negative Leeds fan, when their goal went in, I just thought, oh God, here we go again. Especially with them having come from 2-0 down to get a 2-2 draw in their last game with 2 goals in stoppage time. I thought, oh no.
But even when they scored, they didn't particularly threaten an equaliser.
No, they had that one chance for Silla that Wiedwald saved well.
Yeah.
That was about it.
It wasn't like, if you're at home team and you get a goal back, you'd be wanting them to push on, wouldn't you? And they didn't really do it, did they?
It wasn't too long after the save that we went and scored.
No, they weren't that long. Both goals were in stoppage time, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, theirs might have been 89 something, actually. But by the way, I've checked, it was Wallach.
I wanted him to put the ball back in. Right, fair enough.
I just Googled it then.
Fair dues.
But no, I think we could have had more goals than we did as well. I mean, especially when we were playing on break at 2-0 up. I mean, though that chip that Size went for, that he should have just put his foot through. I was really annoyed until I saw it replay and saw, actually, he was about 8 yards off his line. It really was on. But he should have still just...
To be fair and all, if anyone in that squad's going to go for it, it's going to be Sam Size. It is the one person where when he does it, you don't think, for fuck's sake, just put your boot for it. You do, but then you think, it's all right.
There was a couple of times, and I think I saw it in the first half as well, he tried the ball that he played at Wolves for Alioski's goal as well. That that little, he's fairly central, but kind of almost across towards the far side. Alioski making the run in. I think those two have got a nice little partnership going.
Yeah.
And I saw it today actually. I think between them they've been involved in 19 goals, and it's 10 goals and 9 assists or something like that. But just between the two of them, which again for our attacking players is so much better than it was last season.
In first half, Size had one of the quietest games he's had in a Leeds shirt. Full stop. To be honest, he really won't. But he picked it up a bit in the second half.
Yeah.
But yeah, for that one, we all had us winning, but we all had one score. Me and Casey had 2-1, Connie had 2-0. So it's all turned around.
Yes.
My name's Jack Robshaw. I'm top of the league. But yeah, I'm now top, 38 points. You both have 36. We've each got 2 correct scores. I've just got 1 more correct result than you two, so there's absolutely sod all in it at this stage. But one of the main off-field story... No, that's not English. The main off-field story to come out of that QPR game was probably Ekuban's injury.
Bit gutted for him, to be fair. He's come back from his injury. We all thought that he looked decent before he got that knock at Sunderland, and then come back, had a good few games. It's happened again, so...
And it looks like it's the exact same injury as well, by the sounds of it.
And I think he's the sort of player that's somewhere in between the styles of Roof and Lasogga, where he can be quite physical, he puts himself about. I think it was quite nice having that option, whereas, you know, a few weeks ago when he was out injured, when it was Lasogga and then maybe Roof, we seemed... You know, I think it's frustrating when you only have that one option, whereas once he came in and we saw him play at Barnsley, we were all quite happy, like, okay, we've got 2 options, you know, 2 or 3 options who we can really choose from, and it's frustrating to lose that again now.
Yeah.
Especially going into Christmas.
Yeah, it's...
Although Kubicki's given him feel for thought, hasn't he, to be fair? You know, I know he's not gone up as a central striker, but, you know, he's given him
Yeah, well, I mean,
option,
he'll definitely be in squad.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and he's earned that with his performance. One person who won't be in the squad, Matthias Click. Because Kubicki obviously played. Borthwick Jackson was back on bench against QPR, which I was glad to see.
Yeah.
But Click did travel down, wasn't on the bench. We were talking about it before that either Kubicki or Click is off in January. Well, it's not going to be Kubicki. So,
I think as
can any of you see any way that come 1st February he's a Leeds United player?
No.
For how limited our bench was as well, we were talking about it before the game, because we had a lot of central players on the bench.
Yeah. And it was very defensive as well.
Yeah, what was it? 2 central defenders, a left back, 2 centre mids.
If you're doing it by the way that Christensen sees them, then it was 2 centre backs, 2 left backs, because Anita's basically a left back.
Yeah.
So it really showed in that regard that if we're having 2 or 3 central midfielders on the bench and he's still not one of them, then, you know, and I think one of the things that Christensen appreciates in players like Shaughnessy and Anita is the fact that they can play in a couple of positions, whereas I don't know if Click offers that to us.
I think he can play in a deeper midfield or a slightly more attacking midfield.
Yeah.
I do feel for him though a little bit. You know, he's
we said on the last one, didn't we?
Yeah.
We don't think he's that bad. He's
not pulled up any trees, but he's played in League Cup. He plays in centre midfield in League Cup. You know, he played against Port Vale and Newport.
I will assume that if he is still here at that point, he will probably play in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Because again, we'll be coming out of a busy Christmas period, and I think that'll be a game where Christensen will throw out a few fringe players.
Yeah, he took a bit of flack from people online again because he put some on. I don't have Snapchat, but I saw screenshots of it. Right. He put a thing about time to watch some real football, and I think it was Manchester Derby, and he had to go. What? And he basically defended himself by going, "What, Man City are the best team to watch in the world?" I don't see what the issue is.
No, and as you said, it's perfectly fine for a player to be frustrated when they're not getting picked. If they're not, then you're kind of worried about their levels of ambition.
The bigger Twitter meltdown was the Christensen stuff, which again, I'm assuming you both saw that.
But again, though, is it the end of the world?
I could not care any less.
I really, really don't care.
It's nice he's going there to scout players for us, which is good. You know, you want your manager going to watch these players.
Have you seen that he's actually come out and given his actual official... He's had to come out and address it now.
It's ridiculous.
He came out and he said, my son wanted to go watch Man City play.
But even if...
And I'm friends with Pep. We played together at Barcelona.
Even if, though, he would have turned round and gone, yeah, I like Man United. He's got no allegiance to Leeds United other than he is employed by them.
How dare a former football player and a current football manager want to watch some good football?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And especially when he came out before he got the job. He's a Liverpool fan.
And not only that, it makes the fans just look a bit fucking tin pot, doesn't it? Who cares? Does it really matter?
The one thing is, I will give, the vast majority were just laughing at the people that were mad.
But the people
I'm fine with people saying, I wish I didn't have to see a Leeds United manager at Old Trafford. I wish I saw one there once a season when we travelled there for a Premier League game. But, it's just, I was admittedly exaggerating for effect. But the thing I put on Twitter was, I don't care if he sleeps in Man United pyjamas and has his missus wear a Jose Mourinho mask, so long as Leeds doing well.
Excuse me, love, do you want me to park the bus?
Oh dear, I wasn't expecting that.
There you go.
Oh dear.
That's derailed us a little bit.
And a Herrera!
Oh dear.
Well, so yeah, Lord Harewood's missus.
She's more of a Jurgen Klopp kind of guy.
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 Sorry,
yeah,
guy.
Guy.
Dude, that's mean. But no, so Lady Harewood's been made the honorary club president. Lord Harewood did it for 50 years.
Then there was some fat bloke who lived in Monaco who did it for a brief period of time.
El Presidente.
Yes, El Presidente.
It's nice. It's nice. It's an honorary position. It doesn't really matter. But it's nice that if we're going to have one, it might as well be where it was for all that time. And apparently still follows the club and comes to games.
I was going to say, because I know there's a suite at the ground named after Lord Harewood as well, and I'm pretty sure Lord Harewood's been the club president since the 60s or 70s.
I've got it on here. It was from 1961 till he died in 2011.
There you go.
Bloody hell.
So he did it for 50 years, and then after he sold to GFH, Bates snaked his way into that job and got sacked for didn't he charge us for flights and stuff?
Trying to charter a private jet without permission. I wouldn't mind if he was just buying himself first class tickets.
Yeah,
just chartering flights.
Well. And try to charge it to the Skint Club.
The club that's up bones.
No wonder GFH really clamped down on that.
Yeah.
We've got to pay off this Luke Murphy thing. No, you can't have a jet.
Yeah, there was some more football-based news. That Chance Survivor, Chef Wednesday owner, without naming us, basically confirmed that we had gone in for George Hurst. From he said that there was a Premier League club and one local Championship club that are, from every source, believed to be Leicester and us.
Right.
That were both in for him. His contract expires at the end of season, and he basically said there is no way that Hurst is signing a new deal. He reckons that they offered him a deal that was the biggest they've offered for a non-first team youth player ever, and he turned it down. So they're pretty much done.
Do we know? Obviously, he's local. Is he a Leeds lad? Is he?
Well, I believe isn't he Kevin Hurst's son?
Right.
So he's probably a Wednesday fan.
Yeah, I'm going to say a bit of a shock, really. But if he's a good player, why not?
But my main thought with him is, if we are going to go in for him, should we try and do it in January and avoid a tribunal?
Without knowing how, because obviously you only ever hear these tribunals between players generally moving up to the Premier League. It'd be interesting to see what sort of fee.
I've just realised I said Kevin Hurst, didn't I? I meant David Hurst. Kevin Hurst was a different footballer. I just realised.
It could set a precedent if it goes to tribunal. If we're talking, stuff. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking. Not to sound like a pessimist, but I'm just thinking of this as us as a championship team as well. We may go up at the end of the season, then it's a different story. But if it's a player moving to another championship club, you would kind of expect the fee to be smaller in regards of if he's staying in the championship, it's less likely. I know that in his immediate future that he's going to be playing for England.
You're not saying he's going to be a world beater anytime soon as
Yeah.
such. aren't you?
I know a lot of the way they base it is based off things like first team appearances and stuff, and he's only made like 2 league appearances off the bench ever. So I mean, I dare say it'd still be a couple of million, but I doubt that it's going to be one of the most ridiculous. It's not going to be a Danny Ings job.
And if they do base it on that, then like you say, if he's behind the scenes said he's got no intentions of signing a new deal, I can't see him featuring that much.
No.
So that will keep it down. So.
Yeah, and it would play into the theory that Radrizzani's talked about how trying to go for some local recruitment as well.
Yeah.
Because I haven't got it in front of me, but I think he's 18 now.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But yeah, that's another one. But we may as well. I haven't actually. Normally, I make sure I have some notes down, but there's a few things that I haven't got on it, so I'll just try and remember off the top of my head. As we're on subject of inward transfers, a few hours ago I read a thing that apparently the Sun are saying we're going to try and get Scott McTominay on loan from Scum.
Won't be a bad signing.
It won't, but in his main job centre mid. I know he can play it back and stuff, but
Well, someone's got to replace Click when he goes in January.
We need someone else on bench.
Yeah.
So we need someone to sit at home and complain.
A central midfield. We'll come back to central midfielders in January.
Just think though, at least when he tweets about watching real football, he won't get slagged off. It's his team.
No, we'll still slag him off.
No, apparently I want him. I haven't seen enough of him to know either way, really.
They seem to rate him though, don't
Yeah, I
they,
mean,
Man U?
he gets named on bench a lot now.
He's made a couple of appearances now
Yeah.
off a bench.
And we've also apparently got, as I'm going to call him, the new Sean Holloway.
Jesus.
Because he's 16 when we paraded him around the pitch as the next big
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this time we've got a 14-year-old. Who it hasn't happened.
Get him round the pitch. No pressure, lad.
I will get my phone out to check his name, but I believe it's Connor Byrne. He's a young Irish kid. He's apparently made his first team debut for Glenavon. It's Glenavon.
I'd love to see a 14-year-old coming out to collect a cross against him.
Played in the league against Portadown. Apparently is wanted by everyone. Scum, Liverpool, Everton, Spurs.
Small clubs, then.
But apparently he is currently on... scouts in attendance on Twitter that seems to be relatively well informed.
Yeah.
According to them, he's on trial at Leeds right now.
Yeah.
So, we've only got to put up with Wiedwald for 18 months and then this lad will be ready.
I know.
We've got... Hang on. So we're signing him. We've got...
BPF.
We've got Bailey Peacock-Farrell.
Yep.
That Will Huffer's
Will
really
Huffer.
quite highly rated. We've got that... what his name? With Josh Ray, the kid that was at Celtic,
Yeah, the lad
who
at
made his
Celtic.
Hamilton under-23s debut when he was like 13 or something.
Mm-hmm.
We've got like 7 good young keepers apparently on the books, and there's Harrison Mayle's meant to be all right as well.
We're going to be like Spain.
Yeah,
Admittedly, we haven't produced a goalkeeper since
Carson.
since Scott Carson, who we produced him, didn't use him, forgot to give him a contract.
Literally forgot to give him a contract.
But on the whole, again, if you're a youngster and you look at teams who are producing youngsters that are breaking through, and you see the players that we're producing and moving on to the Premier League anyway while we're in our position, you kind of must look at Leeds and think that seems to be a good place to be.
Yeah, it's a better bet than a lot of places.
Yeah.
Got Newport away in FA Cup. This time we're actually going to play at Rodney Parade instead of at Elland Road. It's going to be on TV as well, on BBC Wales.
And Scum aren't on TV for the first time in fucking years.
Yeah, what is it? The first Scum FA Cup third round game, I mean, I'll tell you that, for I think 14
Something
years.
Daft, didn't it? Yeah.
Good.
But no, how seriously would you take the FA Cup?
Not very.
Or would you do like what we were saying for the League Cup? If you sneak through for a couple of rounds, then start.
If you play like we did, if you play the reserves and you get through against Newport, if you play the likes of Saka or Grot, let's say, throw it out there, penning, and we get through.
I'm just going to say
enough.
this now so I don't forget about it, because I was thinking Grot really needs a loan, but I was talking to Pete from Throw It All Together. He apparently played one game for NEC before he came. So I'm not sure he can play. So I don't think he can play for a third team this season.
Yeah, I remember seeing that actually. So he is kind of stuck to our under 23s and some appearances.
Because I knew that at some point I'm going to forget that and say we should send Grot out on loan.
Yeah.
But he can't, apparently.
No, I think if we can get through You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, if we got through this and we draw Chelsea or Scum, then that's a different matter. You throw them in and go for it, don't you?
This is a game where even if we do stick out a reserve side, you'd expect us to. So long as we don't do what we did against...
Well, we already did once.
Yeah. So long as we don't do what we did against Sutton and stick out the kids that don't get in the under-23 team.
Like Billy Whitehouse.
Yeah.
And Matt Grimes.
It's one of those where I think you probably still have one or two of the first teamers in there. Shaughnessy will be starting, I imagine. Anita will come in. If he's around, Click will probably get a game. Trubisky'd start, depending on how his form is. But
Pennington.
Yeah, Pennington, who...
Maybe...
He's bless him, it doesn't look like he's getting a game anytime soon now.
It wouldn't shock me if Pennington goes in January.
No, Everton...
And not because of him. I just think Everton might go, this isn't what we signed up for.
No.
And to be fair, I know Janssen was suspended at the start of the season, but I honestly think Christensen's plan was Pennington and Janssen.
Yeah, I don't think he thought Cooper was going to be as good as he has been.
No.
I don't think any of us
I don't think most of us did. Even the people that like Liam Cooper didn't expect him to be starting every week. And
definitely not.
But he's really improved this year. One at last bits of news. It's not really Leeds news. Chelino's hired Nicola Salerno again.
Good. Yeah. Good for them.
Definition of insanity.
Good for them. Good luck, bless you.
On the subject of loans, actually, we may as well mention it. Antonsen and Wilkes are getting on all right.
Yeah, so Wilkes got another goal the other day.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see him getting some game time.
There's been a bit of stuff on about Leeds should bring back Antonsen.
No.
I disagree with that, but it is nice to see him doing well. The main thing is, could you see him playing a part next season in any way?
Possibly. If he keeps it up.
Especially, my thought was that next season Grot might well be out on loan.
If that's the case, then and Antonsen carries on his form right till end of season, then possibly Wilkes again, possibly. You know, it's hard to tell.
I think with Antonsen, it very much depends on what happens for us in the summer in regards to one Lasogga, who
Lasogga won't be here next year.
Well,
I'd be amazed.
unless he has some sort of huge, and I don't want to say turnaround because we've said his record is something like 1-2 for us so far. It's not.
Yeah, I think in 10 games he's got 5 goals for assists. It's not a terrible record. It's more of a work rate around it that pisses people off.
So really, if you're looking at the team we have now, then the two that are kind of guaranteed to be there would be Ekuban and Roof. Does Antonsen offer something massively different from those two? I don't know because I still haven't seen enough of him to know what he's about. Obviously he had a few games in the team last season and then kind of fell out.
From the bits I've said, he's a better natural finisher than Ekuban, but outside of that,
I think what you're hoping for is that he goes away like what David Sommer did.
Yeah, and comes back a different player almost.
Mm.
Yeah.
How old's Antonsen? 25?
25, 26, yeah.
I mean, so again, at his point as well in his career, he'll want to be a regular first team player for someone, and I don't think he'll get that with us.
No.
Nah, I don't either. And it also depends on how the likes of Temeneshkov and Jack Clark develop.
And Wilkes.
And Wilkes himself, because obviously if they end up coming back at similar levels, pick the younger one.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the last bit of news, which is the main bit of news, that's why I've left it to now. I told you we'd come back to midfielders in January.
It's written like 12 pages on this. It's ridiculous.
I haven't written very much at all. What I've done
is copy and paste
Phil Hayes' article where he interviewed the guy from J-League Soccer. So that I have things...
I read that article as well.
Yeah, so I have things to refer to. Because obviously I have not really seen him play, and neither have either of you.
Speak for yourself. I get J-League.
Listen, we watch a lot of J-League as well.
Listen, I get J Soccer magazine in with my subscription to Vogue, so take that.
But yeah, Yosuke Ideguchi. It had been talked about for ages, but it's now been confirmed. Phil Hay confirmed it, and it's been on BBC as well, saying it's all done. 21-year-old centre mid. 1 in 8 goal record for Gamba Osaka and 2 in 10 for Japan. which at first I thought, that's pretty good for a midfielder. But then when I read into him, he's really more of a holding mid. He can get forward, but if he's more of a holding mid, that's a hell of a goal record.
Really good, yeah.
It looks like we signed him in January, he's off on loan somewhere. He won't qualify for a work permit straight away. But because he's now in the Japan team, I reckon by the end of the season, he probably will qualify, so he should be about next season.
Yeah, because they play more friendlies than we do league games.
Yeah, they play loads.
I really don't compute that sentence in modern day football. He doesn't fully qualify, or he doesn't qualify for a work permit. I'm just like, how many random foreigners have just showed up? And I don't care how many games they've played. They've just gone, what's that? You've played in 100% of games for Gambia? Yeah, get in. That's fine.
Who were the one who turned up at Southampton?
They played us, Ali Deer.
Ali Deer.
The one who pretended to be George Weah's cousin.
He got a work permit.
Or he'd been in France, he was near you in National.
Still.
I believe Matt Letizia talked about it on Kevin, didn't he?
Jesus.
But no one knows where he's going on loan. A lot of the prevailing theory is Leonessa. But apparently they've already got their fill of non-EU players, so it might have to be somewhere else. And he also might not want to play in the Spanish second division in the build-up to a World Cup. So I've seen a few people saying there's a couple of German sides that would be willing to take him on loan, apparently. And one thing that was a good point someone made, that Toshio Fujita, the guy who will have probably scouted him for us, he's apparently got really close links to Venlo in Holland.
I think if there were an option for him to go to a German team, even if it were in second division, you've got teams like Kaiserslautern in there. You know, you've got decent level teams in the top two tiers of German football. Other than the big teams in Holland, do you really want them to be going out there?
It would depend. If they said we'll start him every week.
If we were going to play every week.
If they said we'll play him every week, I'd be fine with that until end of season.
I mean, I think from a technique point of view, Holland's always a decent place to be. But like you say, if you're outside of the top, what have you got? Ajax,
PSV.
Sorry, PSV.
PSV. And Chelsea reserves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be good for him if he ends up in a struggling team as a holding midfielder where he's going to have a bit more pressure on him maybe. But like you say, German football would probably be the best. Very similar to our style.
Yeah.
But
they're better.
Yeah.
So they'd expect him to play in like the 2 of a 4-2-3-1. He's only £500,000, which in modern football is sod all, isn't it? Even in Championship. But that Alan Gibson, who edits J Soccer magazine, who will know a lot more of those, he really seems to rate him. Says he's like a destroyer in midfield, but he gets forward well, scores goals. He talks about the goal against Australia, which is the one thing we will have all seen.
Yeah.
Because it was a really good screen. But the thing I didn't realise is, in Gambler Saka's midfield, their 2 holding mids were both really experienced internationals with like 70-odd caps.
He's ousted
and he
one of them.
ousted them from the team. Basically, one of them got injured, he got in, and that was that.
Bloody hell. So essentially then, we're signing an Asian Vinnie Jones.
In my head, I said Kevin Muscat.
Now,
God, that's harsh.
I would say that this is probably...
I'm basing that off the words mean streak.
I'd say it's probably a bit of an exaggeration, but he said that he thought he should have had 2 or 3 more years in Japan, and it would have cemented him as like a national team star, and he might have even been the captain of Japan by then if he'd have done that.
Yeah.
So he does seem to really rate him. Pete from For It Altogether did actually watch the Australia game and I think he watched him play against Brazil as well, and said, I mean, they were second best on the park, but he did stand out as one of the better players on pitch for Japan. So,
Rodolph Austin, but better.
Oh no, leave Rodolph alone. I love Rodolph Austin.
Much like I did with Alioski, I'm going to decide with very little evidence that he's going to be really good.
It worked out once for you, so...
Yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I've decided he's going to be good. So, yeah. Now we've got the thing that might take a while. You've probably all seen that they're redoing all the area around the Bremner statue at Bremner Square, and fans can buy stones and stuff. But they're going to have 10 to go around him to be like Bremner's 11. That's going to have all the stats on and everything. And they're asking the fans to vote on who gets them, which is very, very tough. There's a short list of 40. we decided we'll try and do our 11 out of the 40. Obviously, Bremner's in centre mid for one of the places, but we'd have all picked that if that wasn't the case. So we've all had a little note down with a beer in the 20 minutes before we started. So I'll let you go first, Connie, because you were the quickest one getting it done.
How are we doing this? Are we just going to go through each one's team, or do you want to go position by position?
Actually, yeah, you're right.
Position
we'll
by
go
position?
position by position because I bet we've all got the same goalkeeper.
Lucas Radovich.
I'll say from the off, my team's based on a 4-4-2 formation.
My team is based on a 4-4-2 formation. Jack, tell us about your formation.
Awkward bastard here, right? Was trying to do a 4-4-2, but there was too many central players that I couldn't leave out. So I've ended up with a 3-4-1-2.
After coming up with a Hockaday diamond.
Oh, at one point I had a 3-4-3 diamond. At another point I said, there's a lot of 70s players in this. I might do a 3-3-4.
God.
Basically, the problem is there's a short list of 40 and you could make really good arguments for about 32 of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, goalkeepers. Are we all Nigel Martin?
Yep.
Nigel Martin.
Yeah.
As a good friend of mine, Nigel Martin, as I like to think.
As in you've met him?
Like every other day for 3 years of my life, I would bother him as I walked into school and he walked his son in, and it's just the loveliest man, and also by far and away the best goalkeeper I've ever seen play for Leeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree on the last point. The rest of it,
It's just speculation.
inadmissible in court.
Honestly, though, I think it's a conversation I've had with several people that I think Nigel Martin is very unlucky to have been a goalkeeper around at the same time as David Seaman and Peter Schmeichel in the Premier League, because I think had it not been for Seaman, and to be honest, towards the end of Seaman's run, I think Martin should have been England's number one.
There was definitely points when he was better than him.
I think by the time the 2002 World Cup came around, I think Martin was a better goalkeeper.
After that shambles at Euro 2000, Martin should have been him. Definitely. But it's not only that and all. I mean, the way it were dealt with when he left, Nigel Martin, it were at a time where we could have got a lot of money for Paul Robinson, and we let Nigel Martin go for a nominal fee, and he went on and played a good, 4-5 years at Everton, and he was brilliant.
And David Moyes described him as his best signing.
Yeah.
And he was great because he went straight into that Everton team that they were in Europe every season at that point. One season with him in goal, they finished fourth.
Yeah,
that's the season they finished ahead of Liverpool.
Yeah,
Liverpool won the Champions League.
That was that weird season when Marcus Bent scored about 19 Premier League goals.
But it just
because they got beat by like Villarreal in qualifier, didn't
that's
they?
right. Yeah, they got a really tough qualifying round, didn't they? But like I said, with him, it was just at time he left. I know he had all that to do with him with the pre-season tour. He refused to go, didn't he? Because
was that just after the World Cup?
It was just after it, wasn't it?
Because they went to Australia and
That's right.
It was him and had Batty been away for that World Cup as well? I can't remember.
No, Batty had done.
Oh, was it just that David Batty just refused to go anyway?
Possibly.
I think it was when it was all getting a bit weird. At least it was all.
But it was all getting weird. Terry Venables had been hired. Fucking weird.
But when he left, though, you just thought, position we were in at time, cash in on Robinson and keep Martin.
Yeah,
I mean, admittedly, I could understand what they were thinking. They thought they had another Martin.
Oh,
and Robinson was really good. He just won.
I think it's just the thing that clearly they could see the financial position we were in, and Martin ended up leaving for like 500 grand or something like that. It was absolute peanuts for how good he was. When I don't know, it's not massive money, but at the time it was bigger. Where we probably could have got 5-6 million for Robinson
if we'd sold him like 01 or 02. They were talking like 15 million.
Well,
for him back then.
I don't know if it would have been that much. I think that was when papers were doing it every week.
Yeah.
Like when Juve were spending 30 million on Ian Hart, apparently.
God, imagine that. To be fair, in Italy, it'd have been like a fucking steam train. It'd have been quick in Italy.
Right, so we've all got same keeper. Defence?
I'll start with right back.
Which I don't have one of.
Sorry.
This thing's falling apart already.
If I did, it would probably be... I'd have Kelly over Reaney probably, but
I've gone with Gary Kelly purely because I didn't see Reaney, obviously.
yeah, but that's why. Yeah.
Just solid one. Just but right to end. And again, it were a bit crap how we got dealt with at end. It were a little bit shit, to be honest. But yeah,
what was it that he couldn't play because of the bonus clause in his contract? And Bates just went, right, you're not playing anymore.
I dare say that if they'd have sat Gary Kelly down as a reasonable guy, or he came across like that, he'd have just said, "Don't worry, it's fine. Just leave it at that." But yeah, in terms of football, he was a solid one. I actually think getting relegated helped keep Gary Kelly at the club and in and around the team for a bit longer, because Danny Mills had come in and there were always that toss up, wasn't there, between Mills and Kelly at the time.
There was definitely a point where, as much as I prefer Gary Kelly because he's Gary Kelly, there was definitely a point where Mills was the better fullback.
Yeah, definitely.
Like there's no, you can't. I couldn't argue when he was getting picked. Like, because Danny Mills should have been England's first choice right back at that point.
Yeah.
And he was for a World Cup.
Yeah, he was. and with Gary Kelly, we'll always have that goal against Wigan.
He had a couple of.
Did he actually get
finishes.
Credited with the one against West Ham?
I don't know if
One
he
from
did.
like 30 yards, because didn't he go like
so.
crossbar, Ludek McCloskey's back and in?
Hit McCloskey and in the back of the net. And he had what was the one at Selhurst Park as well?
Is that the quick free kick?
Yeah, because that's one of the kind of the forgotten Gary Kelly goals.
It's amazing he's got forgotten goals. He only scored about 4.
Because everyone knows about the Wigan one, because that's the one on YouTube where you can only find it with the fan zone commentary.
Yeah.
The Leeds like going mental. He had 2 in the 96-7 season with the West Ham goal, and 1 against Southampton as well.
To be fair, that probably made him second joint top goal scorer that year.
He wasn't far. I think Lee Sharp was second with 5. It was depressing.
But yeah, Gary Kelly though, all day, right back.
Were you the same, Jesse?
No, and I think, as I may have hinted to it just before we came on, I've gone with Terry Cooper as fullback, and one. I think it mostly comes down to he scored the winning goal for us in the League Cup final, our first real bit of silverware, and that was essentially the game that kind of kick-started things for us as a force. And it's very hard in that 70s team. We were talking about the players that are in there, and where would you put Paul Madeley and players like that? Like, 'cause it was a team that picked itself, and then we had a sub who was just as good and would just fill in for everyone. But yeah,
so the difference is basically you two more picked it as an 11 that would actually play a game, whereas I've just gone, fuck it, can't happen anyway. So you two should probably do left backs, because I've obviously got 3 centre backs. So
left back, I've gone Tony Dorigo. He was just quality. From minute it came to when he left to go to Torino. And rocked up back at Derby, but
that Australian international with an Italian surname.
Yeah, and England caps.
Yeah.
but yeah, it was just, Ian Hart was his natural successor, obviously, but I know they used the term for him, but he wore a Rolls Royce of a centre, as a fullback. He was just confident in everything he did. But yeah, Tony Dorigo.
I've gone with his successor. I've gone with Ian Hart, and
I think that's purely down to the 4 years of age gap.
Yeah.
As I've actually put on the notes when I said we should talk about this, that this is massively based on how old you are. Yeah, unless you try to make an effort. Because I didn't, but part of me wanted to have Jermaine Beckford in, just because I love him. I mean, of course he's not as good as the players when we're at the top of English football, but part of me wanted him.
That's not Jermaine's fault that he was at the club though at that time.
I mean, the thing for me with Ian Hart is that as much as I can look back at those last 18 months in the Premier League when his confidence was absolutely shot, and he wasn't the fullback he had been. In the 3-4 years before that, he'd still been playing with someone like Harry Kewell in front of him, and no one at that point was...
It's pronounced Australian bastard.
Sorry, yeah, that Aussie prick. No one had been picking up on Ian Hart for, never being with his man, or... He was such a confident player. He could go forward. he had his free kicks, but I still remember his goal against Derby when he cut inside and hit it with his right foot, stuck it in the top corner.
Right, cool.
He was, for a period, he was such again, probably, I don't know if I'd use the term Rolls Royce, but I do think he was quite a classy left back.
I think it proved its own point with just how long he carried on playing after he'd left Leeds.
And how he pulled his way back up the leagues as well.
Yeah, well, he got up at Carlisle, didn't he, and scored some daft like 15 goals or something
and
from centre-back.
Yeah, he was playing centre-back that season. There
were talks of him coming back to us,
I wanted
there?
him back.
And we didn't because we had Alan Sheehan.
I wanted him back, but in fairness to Carlisle, they kind of used the brain and went, the one thing he can't do is run, so let's not have him out wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was always not that he was spectacular, but he aerially he could always do a job and.
He never bottled out, did he? You know,
No.
that's not one fit. That's not a summit that you'd associate with Ian Hart. He never ducked anything, did he?
No.
Let's go with Jack's three centre backs.
As I say, mine is not bad because I could have easily ended up with like a 1-7-2.
Because I was waiting for him to pull out three centre backs, two wing backs, a holding midfielder, two centre midfielders, one attacking midfielder, and two forwards.
Yeah, it's not wrong with 5-2-1-2. It's a good formation.
It's great on FMO6.
Look at Conte. No, I've got for it back because I've got Hunter, Charlton, Radaby as a free. And by the way, I really did. I very nearly used John Charles as a centre back just to make room for other people up front, but I didn't. So there's a spoiler, he's in there. But I ended up with those three because I couldn't not pick any of them.
No.
And as I say, there was 5 defenders that I really wanted. There was 7 or 8 midfielders that I really wanted in.
Midfield, I think, is the worst part of picking this lot.
Yeah.
We've struggled there.
But yeah, Norman Hunter, Jack Charlton, Lucas Radaby is my back three.
I've got 2 of them as my centre-back pair, and I've gone with Radaby and Charlton.
I'm with you, Con, on that one. I went Charlton and Radaby as much as I wanted. There's a couple of players I really wanted in there.
Like Don Matteo.
I love Don Matteo.
I love Don Matteo, but come on.
I mean, there was an argument for Chris Fairclough in there for his part in the title-winning team, and the fact that David White's not on that list because essentially when you're a title-winning team like that, central defensive partnership, they're essentially a unit together, and they were brilliant. And just for getting a homegrown player in there, and because of my age, I would have loved to be able to put Johnny Woodgate in there.
If Johnny Woodgate had stayed at Leeds and not had the knee injuries, I'm sure he'd have probably been the best we ever had.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because when he was 19, he was that good. But
I mean, if the fact you heard coming out that he was the fastest over 100 metres in the whole squad, and that was at a time as well when we had like Gary Kelly, the Aussie prick, Lee Bowyer was in there. He could have been, and it's not, he's not had the worst career. He's pretty much always played at the top level.
He still had an okay career. He still went to like Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Cool hero at Real Madrid.
Scored a League Cup winning goal at Wembley.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
For Spurs.
Bundled it
Forgot
over
about
line.
that.
That's about one of his 12 appearances for Spurs. But yeah, it would have been great to get him in there, but you can't pass one Lucas for the legend around him that he created, from the fact he had his bags packed and nearly left, and then George Graham turned him into an absolute world beater of a centre-back. And then Charlton, who, again, just an absolute legend of a player, just at corners, just standing in front of the goalkeeper, picking him up, throwing him into the goal, then having a free header. In the days when defenders wouldn't turn around and appeal for something, they'd just go, oh, well.
Oh, well, that happened.
Yeah, it's very tough not to pick those two.
Well, we'll do as 2 centre mids. Obviously, we've all got Bremner as one of them.
Yep, and
alongside him, it was tough because I've had to go for another one who I never saw play, but I've gone with Collins. So
I've gone again with another one who way before my time, but I've gone with Johnny Giles.
Johnny Giles is the cam.
God damn it, Jack. I've gone with Jack on this one. I've gone with Bobby Collins as well. And again, similar to the Terry Cooper thinking, reading back about that Leeds team, I think before Giles, the big signing was Bobby Collins that kind of kick-started everything.
I have just had a thought that we'd be fucked in the air.
Yeah.
Bremner and Collins. Collins was about 5'3" and Bremner was about 5'5".
Be fine. When they got beaten in air, they'd just wait for him to land and fucking boot them anyway. It'd be fine. You see,
it only occurred to me after I said it that there's no height in that central midfield.
And it's fine because, as we'll have all been told by older relatives, we've all got Johnny Giles in there. Well, me and you have anyway, Jack. So as we all know, Johnny Giles would just go around, wind everyone up, and then go to Billy Bremner and say, "You're going to let him do that to you?" And then just disappear. It'd be fine.
Yeah. Because
that was the thing, wasn't it, with Keegan and Bremner?
Yeah.
Was that it was Johnny Giles that had hit him and then he jogged off. Keegan got up and saw Bremner.
I always remember me and my dad were talking about the team at 70s, and I was saying, Hunter and Bremner and Charlton. He says, no, but worst one with Johnny Giles. Really? He says he were an absolute twat with Johnny Giles in a good way. He says he used to fucking wind them all up and just say, "You're gonna let him do that? It's taking piss out of you." Just disappear.
But we'll do as wide midfielders then, because even though we've got different formations, we do all have a midfield four. So
I'll start it off then. On left, I've gone Eddie Gray. Gotta be.
Eddie Gray.
I also have Eddie Gray on the left.
There we go.
Yeah.
As we were saying, sorry to shatter the illusions of this podcast. As we were stood in the kitchen discussing our teams
with a beer
and some Coke,
cans of Coke.
Yeah, we're going to say, please, someone clarify that.
Obviously. I think we all just instantly went, well, you've got to have Gray in there. He was excellent at his time. You watch the videos before games now, and you see, that goal, there's the volley, and then there's the one where I've never seen so many pull-back turns in the space of about 5 seconds. He's just dancing around people.
He's also such a club man, isn't he, as well?
I was going to say, is there a role he hasn't had at that club?
He's been player, normal coach, assistant, he's been manager, he's been involved with youth development.
I think both times he got put in charge. I know he got it in the 80s when, that great team had all disintegrated and they were done.
Well, because he'd started to put together a team. Was it under Gray that we'd got to the playoffs, or was it later than that?
I think it was later than that, I'll be honest. And then obviously he got put in charge towards the end of when we got relegated, and I don't care who were in charge that year, we were going down that way. So, but I mean, still to this day, as you all know, he's doing media work for us.
Yeah, still going.
And I think in terms of...
And he is also, in the way that KC talked about Nigel Martin, he is the nicest football man I've ever met.
Yeah.
I did a co-commentary thing with him, and he got done, and I had to do a couple more minutes, and I turned around and he was stood at end and he'd waited for me.
Yeah.
So he'd walk down with me as we were both leaving. He didn't have to hang on. He could have fucking middle at night could go get in his car and be off, but he hung on and waited and walked down with me. And I just thought, Jesus, what a... He went one place above Gary Kelly and nicest footballer I've ever met.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you're saying, if he had just gone, it's Billy Bremner. It's Billy Bremner. It's Eddie Gray. I'm looking at Billy Bremner there on my team sheet.
Yeah.
Number one is Billy Bremner.
No one would have questioned it if he'd have just gone, but yeah, decent bloke.
Yeah. So we've all got the same left winger. Who have you got on right?
Strachan.
Rod Wallace.
Ooh.
I saw him more as a right, again coming into it, but that was my way of fitting him in, because I think
wanted him there.
Well, he was such a big part of the title winning team, and I think he was one of the players that, as we got into the Premier League, he was consistently a strong performer for us. He got quite a few goals. He, like you say, he started to move out to midfield more to accommodate other players.
Must admit, I did not expect that name.
No,
No,
there.
I mean, I like Rod Wallace.
And I know he's kind of more thought of as Lee Chapman's partner, and then Brian Dean's partner, and I'm
What, him and Leslie Ash. Did Cantona deleted due to legal reasons?
So yeah, I'm going Rod Wallace there.
I've got outside Lorimer.
Yeah.
I had to get him in. He just had to be in, and he had to be on one side. So
I think the sad thing at this point is, for me anyway,
It's what's happened
I
after.
struggle to look past the way he handled the Bates regime, and I know he was always on the board as a figurehead, and I know it's a job for him, and he that was his source of income.
It could have been handled by him a lot better, given his standing at that club.
It could have been, but he just managed to avoid it with me. If it had gone on any longer, I might have started to, but I
Don't get me wrong. I don't disrespect Peter Lorimer in any way,
I
shape or form.
I still
It's
can't
just,
see, and I still couldn't have anyone else there.
no.
I mean, I think with that, we were speaking about Eddie Gray. I think one of the things I really like about him, having heard Lorimer on the radio and Norman Hunter, and we heard Norman Hunter when we were watching the Wolves game at the Pavilion. And I remember listening to Norman Hunter when we lost to Portsmouth in Peter Reid's last game. He's like, I think we can turn this around. You're like, no, Rocker Jr. is holding midfielder. This has all gone wrong, Norman. And Eddie Gray has been like the perfect balance of looking at a game and just being realistic about things, whilst not criticising the regimes or anything like that. But yeah, in terms of what he did for this club as a player, you cannot understate.
No.
And you had Strachan.
I had Strachan, yeah.
Well, I mean, he was the right hand side of that midfield.
Yeah.
I just remember his goal against, I want to say it was Ipswich, but
When he went and sat on the advertising order,
it's the one that he hit and it's stuck in the stanchion.
that were Ipswich.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was. If I'm
Feel
wrong,
like it
please
was.
say, but I'm sure it was
At the
Ipswich.
start, it was at the start of the 93-4 season. He just
Yeah.
smashes it. It sticks up there. It just because you never saw that happen. It looked so good.
When he were bought in, I mean, I know obviously you two didn't see it, but
No, it was just as far as my main memories of Strachan as a player are at Cov when he was playing manager.
yeah. Well, I mean, when he came to us, he was finished. As far as Man United were concerned, he was done.
Was he 31, 32?
Yeah, early 30s, yeah. And, it was one of them. It was just right club, right time. It just gave him a new lease of life, and it was just so good. I mean, obviously, my dad knew more of him, obviously, but when we'd signed him, I always remember my dad saying, it's a bit of a spent force, this Gordon Strachan, and then obviously he did what he did, and yeah, club legend.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I'm the only one who's got someone in behind the strikers.
Yep.
It's Johnny Giles.
It is basically sort of the whole, there's not too much in it, is it, personnel-wise? It's just
the problem is, the reason I've ended up with this formation is just because I had too many central players that I couldn't not pick.
Yeah, but we did say midfield was a real
Yeah,
problem,
midfield,
wasn't it?
I could have easily picked.
You could have had 8.
7 or 8 central midfielders.
Well, you had the 70s midfield, then you had the title-winning midfield.
Yeah.
There you go, there's 8 there.
And of course, Snoddy. Seriously, I really like Rob Snodgrass, but how has he got on this list?
Yeah, shouldn't be on that list.
He was really good, but come on. So yeah, up front, we've all got 2 strikers.
Yep.
I have John Charles and Alan Clark.
I've got Alan Clark, and I've gone for just purely, again, we say age thing, Tony Yeboah.
I've literally just
He's
changed
got
mine now.
Becchio and Beckford.
I've literally just changed mine now because I realised looking at that list, I can't. My original 2 picks, I'm going to say, were Viduka and Beckford, because
You're allowed to have a recency bias. You're in your 20s.
Yeah. I just look at the one thing I think with those 3 years in League One is that as much fun as it was going to Yeovil and stuff like that, It was fucking miserable being in League One.
Yep.
And if it
It was fine when we were winning.
The first season was funny.
No, first season was fine. That's with our incredible. I mean, I know that we always use Wiedwald as an example, but we actually sold in the club shop a shirt that said "Where's Wiedwald?" That's the most disrespectful thing.
that was, they released what was it, the -15 shirt and "Where's Wiedwald?"
Where's Wiedwald?
And to be fair, you say that's disrespectful. We went to Wiedwald. I don't know where Wiedwald is. And I went there.
It's down Devonshire, isn't it?
It's near an old shooting range.
There's nothing around it.
We went. There was nothing there.
But
with their award-winning concourse that was one burger van.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna stick with those two as my front two. One,
who were you considering?
All of them there's a case for. Chapman, again, in the same vein as Wallace, for leading the line in the way he did those, in those 3 seasons from 89-90 through to winning the league. John Charles just being... And you look at the way he's held in such high esteem by Juventus as well as with us. Alan Clark, Mick Jones... just 2 stalwarts for us during our best period, but it
is sort of a bit of a shame that Mick Jones is sort of the other one. Yeah, and he deserves so much better than to be the other one.
And that's the thing, because who's the guy?
My dad swears blind he was better. Yeah, he was the better one. I mean, he loves them both.
Yeah, but, me and you were talking about this, Jack, because there's arguments for 95% of that list to make it onto a starting 11.
Just easy ones that, off the top of I'll use midfield as main example. But, it was hard for me to not pick Strachan. It was borderline impossible for me to not pick David Batty.
Yeah.
Who is my favourite Leeds player. And I didn't pick him.
Now, see, I'm not going to lie now. Now we've done the 11.
None of us picked Spade.
No, I'm going to come to this now because I
tried so hard to rationalise putting Speed in ahead of Gray, and I just couldn't do it. No. It was...
I put some almost notable mentions.
Connie did use the Premier League subs bench as well. He has gone with 7. He was a step away from using international friendly subs bench with 12.
He nearly picked 23 out of a 40-man list.
But you've got Speed, you've got McAllister, you've got Batty. Then there's Mel Sterland. You could mention in there as well.
Again, you just look at, and I suppose it means a little bit more to us, given we're all younger, so we don't really know the players from the 60s and 70s. Yeah. But that 92 title winning team, again, another team that just week in, week out, it picked itself. Yeah. And as I said, how you have Chris Fairclough on this list and not David White, because you kind of just have the two of them come together.
We spoke and all briefly, I know me and Jack did about it, players that aren't on, and I know that, again, you could argue all night long about it, but there were 2 that came up straight away, and Albert Johansson.
I was amazed he wasn't on this list.
Not only because of what he did footballing wise, but at the time, what he represented in terms of racial equality, just the image that he gave out.
Like the 2nd or 3rd ever
black player.
Yeah.
Black player, and the first one from, as the song says, Timbuktu.
Yeah.
It was a different time.
It was a different time. But,
I'd rather they just edited that out. I don't know where it comes from, but I think it's abroad. That would be better. Yeah. But
there's Albert Johansson that you could mention. You've mentioned Chris White. You could go on, couldn't you?
But I suppose you should be able to with this. But we've struggled there really hard to get it down to 11. When you vote on the website, you're allowed to vote for 3 people.
I've got my 3.
I haven't picked mine, but let's do it.
It's really... obviously, I dare say that they're not taking any positional stuff into account if they get the votes in and there's 7 midfielders then they will
So
be
it
7
is.
midfielders on stones.
Yeah.
We are playing a 2-7-1.
Yeah. But if you've got yours, Con, we'll let you go first because I'm still umming and ahhing.
Right. I think Jack Charlton has got to be in there. Alan Clark. And I'm torn. On the last one, I really am torn, and it's 3 ways. Radaby.
Right.
Yeah, you can't argue with any of those
No, I mean-
either. Like you say, we struggle to pick 11.
Here's the thing with
Yeah.
this. There's 30 correct answers.
I was going to say, there's no wrong answers. Mel Sterland might have been a wrong answer.
Luciano Becchio.
They should just I suppose if we do actually build up as ground and make some nice things, just have a few and stick them all over ground.
Yeah.
I think the thing for me with this, because that for us was just us picking a starting 11 from that list of players,
Yeah.
I think what should actually happen is that around that statue, Bremner should be surrounded by the names of the players he played with.
Yeah.
Do you think it might end up like when they voted for the greatest team and it'll be him, the 72 team, and Nigel Martin?
I think so.
But I suppose it's what people vote for, and it's an internet vote, so younger people will be more likely to vote. So you might see a Becchio game.
Lebo, yeah.
God, Lebo. I mean, but I mean, I don't think Becchio will make it. I get your point in saying that he could, but I think when we go for more like current players that will make it, I think you'd be looking more like at your Adabes, your Batties, your Vidukas, maybe, that sort of era.
I think it would be fitting to be surrounded by Lorimer, Clark, Gray, Cooper, Giles.
Yeah.
So you've had your 3. If I'm picking my 3, I'd have Martin, Radaby, and John Charles.
Martin was one of the ways I
Martin,
was torn from my
I
last
can't not
one.
pick Martin because goalkeepers don't get enough credit and he's the best we've ever had.
Yeah.
It's the only one that I can look at on this list and say for certain he was the best.
Yeah.
There may be a better striker than Alan Clark.
Yeah, it's just what Alan Clark did.
Yeah, there may be a better
But,
there's definitely a better defender than Radaby. He tackled with wrong leg half the time. He was just brilliant at it. But I genuinely think Nigel Martin isn't just the best keeper I've seen at Leeds. He's
one of the best that's
he's very much up there for the best I've ever seen, full stop.
For my 3, I'm going to go for, Collins, Gray, Charlton.
Which again,
There's no argument to be had for it, is there?
we might not be able to get back to people all the time, but if you want to say what your 3 is and what your 11 would be off the list, by all means get in touch with us on Twitter. We won't always be able to respond straight away, but I have no idea how long we just went on for, by the way. It's why I left it for the last thing except for previewing, because I knew it'd go on. But it was interesting. Right, well, it's kind of a weird end to podcast having done all that, because normally we'd have a few games to preview, but we're only going to be previewing one and then releasing another episode next week. It's just because we've obviously got so many games over Christmas and Connie's going away just after Christmas, so it's way easier to do this one, do another podcast next week, and then do one just after the game on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way around. So we've got Norwich at home on Saturday. They're 16th in league, 27 points from 21. They beat Sheff Wednesday at weekend, but they hadn't won any of the previous 4 before that. Couple of draws, couple of losses. The thing I didn't realise, I just saw it in top line of the match report about the Wednesday game. That win against Sheff Wednesday was their first home win since the 9th of September.
Well, is it Fark or Farker? Is that
Daniel Fark.
Yeah, is it Fark how you pronounce it? Well, he was on verge of going, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And this was like a month ago. Somehow he's still there.
Yeah, he's dragged it out a bit. One of the bits of news that we mentioned, because we do mention championship ones, I just forgot to say it. We are playing in the game after this, but we'll preview it properly next time. But Hull have sacked the manager, haven't they? Slutsky's gone and they've got Nigel Adkins.
I don't think that's a bad appointment in this league.
I can't not laugh at the name Slutsky.
He'll do okay. Well, he'll just solidify him.
Yeah.
Read a poem.
Because he's
And he'll be
manage.
upbeat. He'll be upbeat all the time.
Yeah, I know that's an out of sequence way to do it, but it just jumped back into my head because we're playing Hull.
Sorry,
the
to
week
go off on
after.
a bit of a tangent, we're going on about...
No, we never go off on tangents on this podcast.
Well, yeah.
We weren't even planning on doing that 11 players thing until about an hour before.
Imagine Nigel Adkins managing a team that had Andy Hughes and Luke Varney playing in it. Imagine enthusiasm. Just based on enthusiasm to get it playoffs.
They would try their bollocks.
They still finish in the bottom half of the table.
But no, Norwich, I mean, we haven't been that good, but we've got a decent squad. Like, we've got Angus Gunn in goal, who got in last England squad based off his performances. On one from City, and Michael McGovern as backup keeper, who's Northern Ireland's number one.
It's always looked good, hasn't it, whenever we've seen
Northern
him,
Ireland's number one, so we're pretty solid in that position. The thing, I thought that their defence for the last game didn't look that great, but I googled Russell Martin to see why he wasn't playing, and apparently he's back for this game. He played in under-23s and should be available. So they'll probably have him and Grant Hanley.
I didn't realise he'd end up there. I always liked Grant Hanley, especially when Blackburn dropped down to Championship. He looked pretty good in that league.
Yeah. We've got Pinto and Tim Close as well, so one of them will probably play right back.
I know Pinto's been playing recently, hasn't he? But
so
either one of them could.
So that'll be him. And the best players are attacking. We've got Harrison Reid in centre mid on loan from Southampton, and he's another one at massive list of players that they had that all look pretty decent. You might remember, what's the left winger that they had that Liverpool were after? Sam McQueen?
McQueen.
Yeah. Who didn't break into team till 21 and played brilliant for 4 weeks and was linked with everyone and then hadn't got a game since.
No.
So we've got him, and they've been playing Vrancic. And Marley Watkins can play at midfield as well. He looked quite good at Barnsley against us last season.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was fairly decent. But it's the attacking mids and strikers where they've got loads of depth. Up front, we've got Nelson Oliveira, Cameron Jerome, and that Yannick Wildschut.
Good strikers.
Yeah. Who I'd actually forgotten Wildschut was 7 million from Wigan.
I didn't know that. Jeez, that's big.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
Steep, that, isn't it?
And then he could play attacking mid or up front, but Stephen Naismith's back as well. He played in the same under-23 match that Russell Martin played in, having not been fit.
He's one of them players, he hadn't quite done it as he at Norwich, but he's got it in his locker to turn a game on its head, especially in Championship. They've got the one player who they've got there who has always jumped out at me and had a love Leeds to sign him when he was a bit younger.
Jerome.
God, imagine. Where's Houlihan?
Yes.
Yeah, everyone loves Wes Houlihan. He's just one of them, and he's always looks like doing something.
Didn't he score at Euros and all for Ireland?
I think he did, yeah.
How old is he now?
He's like 32, 33.
I say so, but yeah, he's always caused problems, hasn't he? As Wes Houlihan, he's a good player.
I tell you, looking at the injuries thing that I found about him, apparently Alex Tete's back as well, having been injured, because he looked pretty good in Premier League when we were there.
Did a job, didn't he?
But attacking mids, we've got Houlihan, who's quality. James Maddison's pretty good. Alex Pritchard was like 10 million quid off Spurs.
In James Maddison, is he the one from Peterborough?
No, that's Marcus Maddison.
Is it Mark? Right, sorry.
Yeah. But he's also like an attacking mid / striker who can play really. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't like him, but we had a falling out on FM 17, so Marcus Maddison, that is.
Are you going back to 07 now?
Yes. Ruined a game for me.
Yeah. And they've also got that Josh Murphy, who's isn't he Jacob Murphy's twin brother?
The twin brothers, yeah.
Yeah. So he's probably a Newcastle fan as well, because that's why Jacob Murphy wanted to go there so badly.
Yeah.
But no, it's a squad that looks better on paper than it has looked on the pitch. You'd have to fancy us at home.
Yeah. Where we've been playing and all, we seem to have picked it back up after Barnsley game, especially. Yeah, back as Elland Road.
Do you think Holt will change team wise, other than obviously Ekuban won't be playing? You would assume Roof goes up front, but
I wonder if Spitsky will keep the place out on the right hand side, because he did a great job there, and you'd feel, given he's been out of the team and you put in a performance like that, you're against a team, you're at home against a team lower down the league. That's probably the time to give him another run out anyway.
I would think it all comes down to whether Hernandez is fit.
It could be a game where...
If Hernandez is fit, I think Hernandez plays left, Alioski plays right, and Kubicki's on bench. But if he's not 100% fit, then I think Alioski plays left and Kubicki plays right.
It could be a good chance, though, to give Hernandez a bit of a break.
Yeah,
if
well,
we've got all the fixtures coming
we're
up
going to
at
have to
Christmas.
rotate. It's like this one isn't too bad. Like there's this, and then a week later we play Hull.
Yeah.
But I think we play 23rd, 26th, like
28th.
28th and then 1st of January.
Yeah, we've got Forest, haven't we, on New Year's Day? Yeah.
We've got Burton on... It's Hull that Saturday. We're away at Burton on Boxing Day. We're on the 30th, we're away at Birmingham.
Yes, that's right.
And then Forest on New Year's Day.
Say what, you look at them fixtures over Christmas. If
They're not
we're
bad, are they?
serious...
If we get in some decent run here, we've got a real chance.
I think and we'll get on to him late, obviously in the later podcast, but just if we look after our squad well, rotate it reasonably, this run of games now, we could pick up a lot of points.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Is this the first time we're playing Norwich? I'm trying to remember the last time we played Norwich when they didn't have an ex-Leeds player in the team.
Oof.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
I don't think... Did Howson play last year when we beat them 3-2, when Vieira scored?
I'm counting that as he was there.
He was definitely there. I mean, he probably did.
Because he were the last one,
I want to, because of my love for Johnny Howson, I do want to put Norwich's season down to they got rid of him and now Norwich are awful.
Yeah, no, I don't think they have got any, have they, anymore?
No, Howson was last one, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But, to end this, it's kind of a weird podcast because the previews bit's been very curtailed. But I'm going to take Leeds win 2-0.
I'm going to say we win 3-1.
Well, I will happily go in the middle and I will take Leeds to win 2-1.
Fair enough. All the confidence in the world. But no, that'll do it for episode 11 of the Mighty Whites podcast. We're at mightywhitespodcast.com. Most of you will probably listen to other things, so on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, YouTube. All of us podcasts go up on Through It All Together, which is at THIU, it's all LUFC. We're at Mighty Whites Pod. If you want to get in touch with us about anything, go ahead. I think the podcast Gmail that we admittedly don't check that often is mightywhitespodcast@gmail.com, I think.
Yeah.
I haven't logged into it for a while, probably should do. But no, thanks very much for listening. I've been Jack.
I've been Connie. Cheers.
I'm in KC. Loses these.
Dude, that was so cringy. That was terrible. It's definitely staying in.